The courtroom was filled with quiet murmurs as people settled into their seats. On the defendant's bench sat Margaret Lewis, a 67-year-old woman with silver hair neatly tied in a bun. She wore a modest navy blue dress and clutched her handbag tightly. Margaret had spent the last 40 years working as a city bus driver, but today she wasn't behind the wheel. She was in court, accused of reckless driving. Opposite her stood Officer Daniel Carter, a tall, stern-faced police officer in his mid-40s. His uniform was perfectly pressed, and his arms were crossed as he waited for the judge to begin. "All rise," the bailiff announced. The judge, an older man with sharp eyes, entered and took his seat. "The court is now in session," he said. "We are here today to review the case of Margaret Lewis, charged with reckless endangerment while operating public transportation." Margaret sighed, but remained composed. She knew what had happened that day, and she was ready to defend herself. "Officer Carter, please present your statement," the judge continued. Carter cleared his throat. "Your Honor, on the afternoon of March 12th, Mrs. Lewis was driving bus Route 27. At approximately 3:15 p.m., she ran a red light at the intersection of 5th Avenue and Maple Street, nearly colliding with an oncoming vehicle. I was on duty nearby and witnessed the event. She showed complete disregard for traffic laws and the safety of her passengers." Margaret shook her head in frustration. "That's not what happened," she blurted out. "Mrs. Lewis, you will have your turn to speak," the judge reminded her. After a brief pause, Margaret's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, the defense would like to present an alternative perspective. Mrs. Lewis has an impeccable record, 40 years of service without a single incident. She wasn't being reckless. She was making a split-second decision to avoid an accident." The judge nodded. "Proceed." Margaret took a deep breath. "Your Honor, that day, I saw a young child chasing a ball onto the road just as my light turned red. If I had stopped abruptly, I would have risked passengers being thrown forward. If I had swerved, I could have hit another vehicle. I made the safest choice I could. I slowed down and carefully passed through the light." The judge turned to the officer. "Did you witness the child on the road?" Carter hesitated. "No, Your Honor, I did not." "We have video footage from the bus's security camera," Margaret's lawyer added. "It shows exactly what she described." The judge watched the footage in silence. The courtroom did too. It was clear the child had darted into the street, and Margaret had acted to prevent a worse accident. The judge set down his gavel. "The court finds Mrs. Lewis not guilty." Case dismissed. A wave of relief washed over Margaret. She smiled softly, gripping her handbag. Justice had been served.